In this session we're going to have a look at the year-end stage 1 procedures, and the first thing to point out is that before you do any period end or year-end procedures, you should always take a backup of the database. Should something go wrong, you'll need to recover to that backup, and if you haven't got one, then it's going to be very difficult to proceed any further. The first things to make sure that before we go into the year end are that we have on the pension details, we have any ESCON and ECON numbers set up that may be necessary. If you have to set ESCON numbers up, they are on the pensions record in the pension scheme ref. The ECON numbers are set up in tax reference codes, and these tax reference codes are, we put the tax district and tax reference number in to access the item, tax district name. The ECON number goes in there, and as it is a fixed format, as you can see here, but you will be provided with that by the relevant authority. It's also important for this release that you have the company name in against the tax reference codes, as it may need to have this to do the year-end transmissions. The year-end transmissions, by the way, will also allow you to use tax reference codes against employees in one company, and that will allow you to mix employees in one company that have different tax references, and we can actually sort those out at the year-end processing point and transmit them separately to the HMRC for you. So that's the pension areas that we need to worry about. The next thing to mention is to check your period end date, particularly if you're on a weekly cycle. The year end will automatically be invoked when the period end date plus 7 on a weekly or 14 on a fortnightly takes you over the 6th of April. So you need to manipulate this date before you start the last period of your payroll to make sure that if you don't want week 53, that week 52 rolls you over into the 6th of April. And obviously you can do that in maintenance company details, parameters here. It won't let you change this if you've actually done any processing for week 52. So what you'd have to do in that case is to go to utilities, period utilities, remove period data, and that will remove any input that you've done. So you'll have to re-input that as well, but it will allow you to maintain these dates. So the next thing that we need to do is, once you've finished all your processing, you've got all your reports finished. Some of the reports that you may be wanting to do are complete year-to-date listing and inland revenue reports, inland revenue year-to-date totals. You'll find the complete year-to-date listing in employee reports. All this, by the way, is in the year-end procedures document which accompanies the release software. And once we finish all the period output, once we finish all the period details, we need to run a normal period end. So we'll say yes, I want to run that. No, I'm not bothered. OK. Obviously this process takes a little while depending on how many employees you have on file. So it now tells us that the year end is ready to be performed, and you'll notice that the period end date down here hasn't changed. That's because when we get to the end of the year, that date is changed by the year end process. And we'll see that in a moment. So it now says the year end is ready to be performed. Please print all relevant reports before proceeding. So if there are any extra reports that you want, now is the time to print them. And to run the year end, we just click on year end update. So are you sure you want to run this? It says here that we're going to run it and tells you what it's going to do. It reminds you again, please ensure that you produce all relevant reports for this tax year before proceeding. i.e. P45s, etc. So make sure you've done all your period processing before you move on. So I'm going to say yes, that's fine. So now what it's doing is transferring all the current year's information into the history so that we can move on, process the new year, but still be able to record and print our P14s, etc. You'll see here now it's said that the dates have been set to 6/04/2009. It's strongly recommended that you change those before you go any further, and again you'll go into maintenance, company details, parameters, and we will just change those to whatever period end date we want to have. And say OK. That's at this point now we're ready to do the actual software update. There's some separate instructions for performing the update, and those of you that have the support contract with us for remotely installing the updates need to get in touch with us when you're at this point and you're ready to have the upgrade put on. That's the end of the stage 1, and the next session